Looking for a new career? Welcome to Do HVAC Training Service Center in North Charleston. Enroll today in our comprehensive HVAC training hands-on field experience-based program, covering troubleshooting, maintenance, installation, and more on various HVAC systems and ductwork. We offer EPA and NAEP preparation and testing, along with various certifications. Enjoy payment options. Achieve certification in under 5 months. Enroll now for your new journey of skill development and career advancement. Log on to dewhvactrainingsc.com to inquire.
Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's going on, my awesome friend? Welcome to the Having It All podcast. I am Matthew Bivens, your host and balanced lifestyle coach, and I'm so happy to be here on this final episode of 2020. Boy, we've gone through so much this year, so much for the duration of this podcast, and I am just very excited that here we are. It's the last episode of the year. I've got some great stuff to talk to you all about today, and I'm looking forward to jumping into the new year. You know, I'm not under this belief that everything's going to change as soon as we get into 2021, but it is this symbolic fresh start, and I do appreciate that. I do enjoy that. So it's wonderful, and no matter where you are, I hope that your year is wrapping up in a powerful way, in a magical way, and that you're feeling energized and excited and intentional about how you want to jump into this new year. So today's conversation is going to be really great. I've been doing a lot of reading, and I came across this article that spoke to me in terms of just the overall self-help and personal development industry, and it inspired me to bring to you this conversation today. I think it's super relevant, particularly as we are entering into a new year. There's going to be some things that I'm sure you're thinking about in terms of habits you want to add to your repertoire, some that you want to let go of, the overall lifestyle and routine that you want to create for yourself. And I have some self-help advice that I want you to let go of and to stop adopting and to just overall drop as you flow into 2021 so that you can have a more joyful life experience. So I'm excited to share that with you today. If you would not mind, please subscribe to the podcast. Whatever you're listening to, whatever device, whatever app you're using, hit that subscribe button right now. That would be awesome. And then you can also leave a rating and review. I totally love receiving your ratings and reviews, and I'd like to read them on the show as well. And so if you are on Apple Podcasts and leave a review, that's where I go to check right now. And if you leave your reviews on another place, please screenshot them and send them to me. You can email them to matthew@matthewbivens.com or send them to me through my DMs on Instagram at Matthew_Bivens. And again, I love all the reviews that you send, and I just don't see them all. So just to make sure that I see them, screenshot it and send it to me. And if you have any questions you want me to tackle on the show, if you have an episode topic suggestion, if you have just a life scenario you want to share with me, or you just want to say what's up, again, my email address, Matthew@matthewbivens.com, or on Instagram at Matthew_Bivens. Those are two best ways to connect with me. All right, let's kick some things off today with a little bit of magic. This is the last magic of the year. Oh, that's pretty cool. What's awesome is we've cataloged hundreds of magical moments on this podcast every week, with me sharing my magic and with you pausing to reflect on magic. And that's magical all in and of itself right there. All the different magical moments that together we have reflected on. So, I'm going to share two with you today. And once again, as I always say, hit pause after I share and just reflect real quick on some magic from your life. Where have you influenced self, others, or life recently? It's all important. The big stuff, the little stuff, it all counts. All right. My first piece of magic is pretty straightforward. My second piece of magic is not so obvious. The first piece I want to share is that this last week, this was the week of Christmas here in the States, and I took the whole week off. I'll back that up. I took most of the week off, and just that right there was very magical. I had a couple of things on my calendar the first 2 days of the week, and then that was it. And I'm taking a lot of this week off as well because we have family in town. So really just to prioritize, no work time is magical, and it's big for me, and quite frankly, it's difficult. There's little things that I want to dive in there and, crank through some emails, or, reach out to to communicate with my VAs, or do anything like that. And, for me to just pause it all, put that email vacation reminder on there, and to not look at or think about anything for, about a week now, is absolutely magical. And one of the things I'm reminding myself is that everything important will get done. Everything that needs to get tended to will get tended to. Those messages that have been sitting in the inbox for months that I've been meaning to get to, I'm going to get to them. The people who are, blowing up my inbox or blowing up my phone because they have questions for me, they're going to get their answer. And truly what is most important to me, and really where I really want to pour my time, is into relationships, into people, into connections. And particularly ones that, I'm face-to-face with. Not just the ones I'm face-to-face with, but those are the ones that I tend to pour the most of my time and energy into. And so I'm very, very happy with myself that I influenced myself to just take off. And it's really been, honestly, about 3 weeks of taking some intentional time away. I took the family down to Callaway Gardens in Georgia 2 weeks ago. And then last week was Christmas week. And then this week is, we have family in town. So I'm really just taking the foot off the pedal, and it's requiring a lot of faith. There's a lot of trusting that everything that is going to get done will get done. And there's a lot of surrendering to those impulses to jump on and just look at my email on my phone real quick. And I found that I will actually open up my Gmail app, and as it's loading, I'll talk myself out of it. It's like I'm walking down the hall and, let me just look at my Gmail real quick. And then as it's loading, I'm like, nope. Hey, man, listen, there's nothing in there that you need right now. You might see an email that is going to immediately pull your attention away, and you might go down a rabbit hole of trying to answer it. So close it up. And I've closed it up. So all of that's a big old bow of magic. Just taking some time off to be present with family. That's my first piece of magic. My second piece of magic, I am honestly still trying to connect some of those magical dots. And this one has to do with our dog. So we got a new dog. His name is Bruce. He's a pit bull mix. He's an awesome boy. He's about a year old. Got a lot of puppy energy. And he likes other dogs so much that when we are walking on a leash and he's around other dogs, he totally flips out. He makes this noise that I've never heard a dog make. It's this squealing, gargling, really awful sound when he sees other dogs, and he just wants to play with them. But it doesn't sound that way. It sounds like he's trying to rip their head off. He pulls, and he's really terrible on the leash when he sees these dogs. And what's so interesting is I'll take him to the dog park, and he'll see the dogs and he'll go and play. And he's a big puppy, and they'll roll around and do all this stuff. And then as soon as I put him on the leash and take him back to the car, he just loses it again. So we took him to the trail today, took him down to the river, and I was intending for a nice chill walk up and down the trail, but Bruce had other ideas, and he just spent 30 minutes just basically flipping out and going wild and just wanting to hang out with every dog he saw, to the point that it looked like I was abusing him the way that he was pulling and choking and all this stuff. So we eventually just went back to the car. And the reason why I say this is magic is, I consider myself a very, very patient person. I feel like that's one of my gifts, one of my innate superpowers. I can be so patient. And when Maya was born, it really tested my patience. And I like to say I passed with flying colors. I could sit there as she was screaming, and nothing was working. Changed her diaper, fed her, burped her, all that stuff. Nothing was working. And I could just be cool with it. I get you, kid. I'm here for you. But boy, let me tell you, that patience did not translate today. And I really found myself having to calm myself down moment after moment, incident after incident, as about a dozen times, I would hold the dog and just stroke him and say, hey, man, it's okay. You're okay. And it really tested my patience. And I feel like I got maybe a C- today on patience. And so I think the magic is in having an experience like that to really see where is my patience in a scenario where I'm not expecting it. I wasn't expecting him to do what he did today. And my patience just didn't show up the way that it normally does. And, I think that there's magic in it because it gives me opportunity to see where I was at in that moment. And it gives me a chance the next time I'm in a scenario like that, I want to come with different energy. And so it's influenced me to do some research and see what are some things that I can be doing here at home. What are some ways that I can help train him or teach him or guide him? And then also look into some actual training classes so that some professionals can come in and help us out. Because I don't want that experience anymore, and I'm willing to put in the work to shift the behavior a little bit. And I understand that ultimately the only behavior I can control is my own. And so for me, that's magic, to go through that experience today and then to look at myself and see where my opportunities are to be more patient. Because he's just a puppy. He just wants to play. He can't help the way his bark sounds or all that other stuff. It's like he's just being a dog, and I don't have to let that trigger me and get to me. So that's my magic, the way I'm relating to it right now. And I know in the moment I didn't relate to it as powerfully. And so, yeah, next time I will. And you can hold me to that. All right, so those are my 2 magical moments for today. And now, seriously, reflect on a piece of magic for yourself. I'm serious. Do it. Do it. It can have such a huge shift in your life by just thinking about how you influence self, others, or life in an empowering way. So hit pause, like literally hit pause in the episode and just take a couple minutes, and think about, man, how have I done that? How have I influenced self, others, or life? And let's all work on getting those magic muscles nice and strong as we go into 2021. All right, let's press on ahead to listener love. I really, really enjoy this segment of the podcast that we added probably about 2 years ago. And we added listener love because, I receive a lot of love from you all in messages, in DMs, in emails, in care packages, all sorts of stuff. And so I want to be able to give some love back. So today I want to pour some love on to you, Philip, from Instagram. Philip, I appreciate you. The message that you sent me recently was really cool, Philip, because you sent me like, I don't know, is it a meme? I don't know, like a motivational graphic. And I thought the message was so spot on. And I want to read it for everybody else because I think they're going to get something from it too. So Philip's message to me, it was a picture on the graphic. It said, if you try and fail, congratulations. Most people won't even try. And that's so true. It's so true. If you try something, like you say, hey, I'm going to go for it, and you fail, I mean, just in the fact that you tried, you've already set yourself apart from a lot of people. Because most folks won't try. They'll talk themselves out of it. Talk themselves right out of even trying. What's the use? I won't be able to do it anyway. I got no shot. Look at everybody else. They're so much further advanced than I am. I'm not even going to give it a shot. Now I'm going to go over here and do this instead. And so most people don't try. And so just the mere fact that you're willing to try, it says that you're courageous. It says that on some level you believe in yourself. It says that on some level you believe it's possible for you to succeed, right? So such a great message. And Philip, I appreciate you, my brother, for thinking about me, for reaching out, for sending that message, and for connecting the way that you did. So thank you, Philip, for that. Thank you. And I know that somebody listening right now needed to hear that message. They needed to hear that if you try and fail, congrats. Most people aren't even trying. So give yourself some credit. Give yourself a pat on the back. Cut yourself some slack. Because it's the truth. We are so hard on ourselves. I don't know about you, but man, I am so hard on myself. And just giving myself credit for trying. I'll be honest, it's a hard thing. Like for me, just to think about that right now, I may not give myself credit in the very beginning for trying. I'm like, okay, yeah, you tried, but how'd you ultimately do? Oh, you failed? Well, hey, you failed. So you didn't succeed. You failed. And that's not great. So you need to do better. And like, that's kind of like my internal conversation. So this is a reminder to me as well, Philip. Like, hey, I gave it a shot. I gave it my best. It didn't turn out the way I wanted to. You know what? Let's pick yourself up and keep it moving. So, Philip, thank you again for sending that message. Thank you for connecting with me. I appreciate you. If you want to be like Philip and connect with me on Instagram, you can do so at any time, whenever you want. I'm at Matthew_Bivens. Send me a voice note, a graphic image like Philip, a regular note, whatever it is, just connect. And you can also do so on my email. I'm at Matthew@MatthewBivens.com. All right, cool. Let's talk about some self-help advice for 2021 that I'm recommending you kick to the curb, because there's a lot of stuff out there that people say you need to be doing, right? I mean, every book, every self-help book has some sort of recipe that the author or the authors are saying, hey, if you do this, you're gonna have the results you want. Hey, if you adopt this routine in the morning, like, it's gonna transform your life. Or hey, if you eat these things in this order at this time, your body's gonna transform. Oh, hey, if you do this time management technique, if you have these 45-minute sessions on and 10 sessions off, and you do these 12 push-ups in between, and you do this afterwards, like, it's guaranteed to work. There's so much of that being shoved down our throats, quite frankly, that what I'm here to tell you is that, listen, what works for one person may not work for other people. And it probably won't work for other people, at least not in the very same way. And I realize that I'm saying that as a host of a personal development podcast where I've told you about a lot of things that have worked for me. And that's almost unavoidable, right? When you listen to podcasts like this or you read self-help books, because most of the time what the author is doing is sharing with you, the reader or the listener, hey, this was my challenge. This is where I was stuck. This is the life experience and the result I had. I didn't like some aspect of it, so I wanted to change something. This is the change that I made. This is the habits that I added. These are the habits that I let go of. And hey, here was the outcome. This is where I ended up. So I went from starting point A to ending point B. And look at the journey that I made. That's really what happens in so many of these different self-help books and podcasts and YouTube pages and all that stuff. And really what's going on in those books and podcasts, it's the author or the host or the speaker sharing what has worked for them. It's what has worked for them. They're not telling you what worked for somebody else, because you're not really going to be inspired by somebody else relaying information about what worked for another individual. No, you want to see the subject of the transformation. Like, imagine if it was a weight transformation. It's much more powerful if I'm standing in front of you, somebody who's dropped 200 pounds, right? And you can see my before and afters, and boom, you see me right here in the flesh. That's much more powerful than me just telling you, hey, Joe over there lost 200 pounds. And so that's what goes on in these books and the podcasts like this. I'm sharing with you what has worked for me. And the key in this is that it is what worked for me. And what worked for me may not work for you. It may not. And so what I want you to take with you into 2021 is that whatever it is that you're reading, watching, listening to, consuming, that contains advice as to how to make yourself healthier, happier, stronger, whatever. Just know that it may not work for you. It may not be the right advice for you. It may not be the proper tip or the right habit. It may not be for you. And that's okay. That's okay. Because guess what? Making some shifts in your life, it's not just like following the steps 1, 2, 3, and boom. I helped Maya on Christmas morning put together some Legos. Right? We had all these pieces everywhere, and we had these instructions. And it said, take this piece and stick that on there. Take this piece and add that right there. Snap this thing right here. And 50 steps later, we had a completed Lego set. The same person can walk through those steps and come up with the same exact end product. It works in Legos. It doesn't work in personal development. It doesn't work in self-help. It doesn't work in shifting your life in whatever way you want to shift it. It just doesn't. Because I can hand you the exact things that I have done in the exact order, in the exact frequency, in the exact amount, and say, do it. And you could do it, and it could not have the same impact. It absolutely will not have the same impact on your life. It just won't, because it's unique to me. Right? It was my recipe. And my recipe is probably not going to work for you. You know, I was reading this article, and let's see, what was it called? The article was called, Why Are Self-Help Books Not So Helpful After All? And it's written by a man, his name is Timothy A. Carey, PhD. And the title is what got me. Like, why are self-help books not helpful? And really what he was saying is the reason why these books and these resources aren't helpful is because it's about self. It's not about the reader. It's about the author. This idea that I just communicated to you, that the people writing these books and you know, putting on these YouTube channels and all that, they're sharing what has worked for them. And what has worked for them does not always work for us. And that's the big thing that we miss. We believe that what has worked for them should work for us. And if it doesn't work for us, it's because there's something wrong with us. And that's what I want you to let go of. I want you to drop this idea that if something doesn't work for you, it's because there's something wrong with you. I want you to drop the idea that if something doesn't work for you, it's because you aren't trying hard enough. You aren't dedicated enough. You aren't able to persevere and push through the hard times. You aren't committed, or you aren't consistent, or you aren't connected with some big why, or you don't have the grit. All of that crap. It's time for you to let go of that. Because this isn't Legos. This isn't the thing where you just follow the steps and you're guaranteed to get the same result. No. Every single person who's telling you what has worked for them has gone through trial and error. They've tried 500 things to land on the 5 things that they really like and have really worked for them. You know what? I'll just speak for myself. I have gone through like 500 things to land on the dozen or so things that work for me. For years, I was just reading all sorts of blogs and watching videos and studying TED Talks. I used to have notes. I would take notes on TED Talks on what they said advice-wise, and I would try to apply it. And I applied it with this mindset of, oh, it worked for them, so it should work for me. And for years, I was studying these things and consuming this stuff and trying things out and doing things for myself, like making little trust challenges. That's where Trust Challenge came from. I was doing it for me. And I said, oh, other people might dig this as well. But I've been doing that stuff for years, trying to figure out what works for me. And, you know, I ended up finding a lot of things that worked for me. Yet, I did it with this attitude that every time something didn't work for me, it was because I was not good enough. If this time management technique where I study for 30 minutes and take a break for 10, if I was only able to keep that going for 2 days, I said, see, Matthew, that's why you don't get A's. You can't even keep that going. What's wrong with you, man? That's supposed to work. It works for everybody else. Why can't you make it work? Just do it. Like, that was my internal self-talk. Rather than, oh, well, I guess that's just not for me. That's not how my brain works. That's not how, I study well. So I'm going to try something else. I would love for you to learn from what I have gone through in being hard on myself when something didn't work. Because that just makes the process of getting to what does work harder, more challenging, and longer. Because now we got to work through all these emotions that we have, that we're not smart, we're not hardworking, we're not dedicated, we're not determined, we have no discipline. I can't tell you how many times I've told myself I lack discipline. And in reality, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I have so much discipline for the things that are meaningful to me, for the habits that I enjoy and that I've connected with on a deeper level. I got a lot of discipline for those things. And no, I don't have discipline for the stuff that I just tried on because someone said I should do it or some, guru told me it was the secret formula. No, I don't have discipline for that stuff because it's not for me. And I remember reading Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. And, that book was just full of stuff. It was like, do this, do this, do this. Here's how you could, change your life and automate this and 10x your productivity. And man, I was taking notes and studying and trying all this stuff. And 99% of those things didn't work for me. It just didn't. It didn't work with my personality or my work style or any of those things. And yet I carried with me these beliefs and these thoughts that, like, man, that's why you're not going to succeed. You're not doing what this guy outlines. He says, just do the stuff, follow the process, and it'll work for you. And of course, you're not getting the results you want because you're not even able to follow the process, man. What's wrong with you? So I would love for you to connect with the truth that what works for me may not work for you. And what works for you may not work for your best friend. And what works for your best friend may not work for their Instagram followers. It is about each one of us uncovering the items, the processes, the habits, the lifestyle that works for us. It's about each one of us going through the process of figuring that out for ourselves. That the article that I mentioned earlier about self-help books and how they're not helpful at all, the author says something like, every life is distinct, and therefore every problem is distinct. And that means the solution to those problems are distinct as well. And that's so true, right? I'm different than you. You're different than your best friend. They're different than their parents. No two people are the same. No two people have the same exact life experiences, the same exact belief systems, the same exact values. We don't see things the same way. We can have a lot of overlap, but we don't see life the same way. Everyone is unique. Therefore, the problems that arise in people's lives, they are unique to them. My problems are unique to me. And because my problems are unique to me, my solutions might just be unique to me as well. So when I'm trying to create some shift in my life in any particular area, and it's a challenge, I'm trying to figure out how to overcome that challenge, I've got to figure out the best way for me to overcome that challenge. Not the best way Tim Ferriss overcame the challenge or the best way Tony Robbins did it. No, I got to figure out the best way for me to figure it out. And my solution might have some similarities, but it is going to be uniquely my solution. And that is a huge thing that I want you to remember. That if you try something out and it doesn't work for you, understand that that's okay. And perhaps you were trying to do it the way that they did it. And maybe you just need to tweak it a little bit so you can do it the way that you want to do it. Because ultimately, your life is unique. Your challenges are unique. And the solutions to those challenges are going to be unique as well. It is not one size fit all. We are not Lego sets. We are not Lego sets, people. We aren't. We got so many aspects of ourselves that are just different. And so one thing that you can take into the new year is that I want you to just keep at it. Just keep at it. If you've got a challenge and you've tried 1,000 different ways to solve that challenge, keep at it. You are bound to crack it. You are made to crack it. You are a problem-solving being with imagination. You can visualize different outcomes. You can visualize different approaches. You can hold space for the possibility for your win, for your success, for your solution. Right? These are things that are unique to us. And as long as you keep at it, you are going to find a way around. I guarantee it. You are going to find a solution to your problem if you keep at it. But what happens is something doesn't work in our lives and we drop it. We drop it and we say, it doesn't work because I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I lack the discipline. And no, we got to let go of that way of thinking. We got to let go of that way of thinking. Because all the people that you might admire, whose lives you think, wow, look at all the things that they're doing. Guess what? In some areas, in some ways, they just kept at it. That's it. They just kept at it. They said, okay, I got a problem. I'm just going to keep picking away at this thing until something shifts. That would solve so many challenges in your life right now if you just had that attitude of like, hey, I'm just going to keep at it. That didn't work. Okay, I'm going to try this. That didn't work. Okay, I'm going to try this. Until you find your unique solution. Not my solution, not anybody else's, your unique solution. And maybe your solution is to just, okay, I'm going to let it go. Maybe it's something that doesn't deserve all the attention and energy you're putting into it. But bottom line is, as you are listening to my podcast, or this episode, or anyone in the future, any of the previous shows, when I'm sharing something that has worked for me, don't expect it to work exactly the same way for you. You might try on one of my suggestions, and it might work way better than it did for me. And it might have a very minimal, impact. Who knows? What I would like for you to take from the things that I share is just this idea of trying things out. Trying things out. Like if you have trouble sleeping and you feel like getting better sleep would impact your life in a powerful way, cool. I dig it. That's a real challenge, and I understand the solution you're trying to get at. So you can listen to my podcast where I talk about sleep and the way that I've optimized my sleep over the years. And if you try those things out and they don't work, okay, I get it. The way that I optimize my sleep is not the way that you're going to optimize yours. So what else can you try? What else can you try? What else can you try? I want you to, I hold the space that you let your success be measured by the things that you've found that really work for you, that you stick with, that you get joy from, right? That you're just like, you enjoy, rather than having all these different lists and processes and systems that all these different people have told you you're supposed to do, and you're trying to force them into your life, but it's just not working. Because I believe that your ultimate joy really, really, really will come down to creating your unique solution, creating your unique path, your unique combination of habits, of the ways that you do things, of the way that you approach people and the way that you approach life. When you have your unique soup, it's just going to taste better. Your soup is going to taste better than my soup. I guarantee it. So take that into 2021, please. And when we cross paths, whether it's physically, virtually, whatever, when we cross paths, listen, I want to learn what has worked for you. Like what is working for you and what brings joy to your life. Please tell me, because I might just give it a try and see if it adds to my life. So I appreciate you hanging out with me today. This has been real. This has been great. This concludes our podcast for 2020. So cool. The next episode is going to be in the new year, and I've got some new things planned for 2021. I won't share them with you now, but I'm going to do an evolution of the way that I approach some episodes. It's going to be fun. I really, really think it's going to be awesome. I've been thinking a lot about it and planning it out. So I'll let you know what that is in the first episode of the new year. And you know what? A lot of people have a lot of things to say about 2020. And my advice for you is that if you want 2021 to be a better year for yourself, if you want to have a different attitude, a different outlook, and experience a different year, do not wait until 2021. Start it now. Because here's the mistake that a lot of us make. We say, oh, things will be better when. Things will be better when XYZ is back to normal. Things will be better when my job is more stable. Things will be better when, and we fill in the blank, and we keep on pushing our happiness, our joy, our ability to get excited about life, our peace. We keep pushing it out until when something in the future happens. But we're not guaranteed a future. You certainly aren't. And it's a dangerous game to play to say that the emotion that you want to experience, you can only have when something out there happens, when something external to you happens. It's so much more powerful to ask yourself, what do I need to do right now to put myself in that space of feeling excited, of feeling creative, of feeling passionate, of feeling kind, of feeling generous, of feeling joyful, of feeling peaceful? What do I need to do now to put myself in that space? Because the most powerful way to approach the new year is to take into the year what you want to experience. Is to say, I want to experience more joy and more peace and more flow. So I'm going to bring joy and peace and flow right now into tomorrow. Rather than saying, I want more joy, peace, and flow. So, all right, 2021, you better deliver more joy, peace, and flow to me. Because guess what? That's not really how it works. The year is going to be what the year is going to be. You're the one who gets to dictate the experience that you get to have, right? So as you get ready for the new year and you're thinking about, your intentions and how you want to be and the results you want to experience and all of those different things, just remember, you don't have to wait for the feeling that you want. A feeling is something that you can achieve right now. And if you start feeling the way that you want to feel in the new year right now, you really are setting yourself up for some success. You're setting yourself up for some beautiful magic and some big wins, I'm telling you. So take that with you into the rest of this year, into the new year, or into whatever is going on in your life whenever you might be listening to this, because you may be listening to this sometime in the middle of a year. It's just really powerful advice that when I've adopted it, I see how I can make today the day that I want to experience. I can make every single day, my day. I don't have to wait until something happens out there, until somebody else gives me permission, until some factors, environmental factors or circumstances align in just the right way. No. I can have the feelings I want to experience right now. So, I appreciate you all for hanging with me on this episode and for all episodes this year. This has been fantastic. It's been completely magical. I'm very, very excited for what we got going on in next year and beyond. It's a beautiful thing, and I just feel so blessed to be able to do this, to share these conversations with you, to connect with you, to do life with you, to experience many more magical moments with you. So thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for an amazing year, and here's to the next one. All right, my name is Matthew Bivens. Here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal, physical, or mental health.